Welcome back to Cinemax. Today we are breaking down Weapons, the 2025 supernatural horror film written and directed by Zach Cregger, the same man who brought us Barbarian back in 2022. It came out in theaters on August 8th, 2025, and it is one of the most talked about horror films of the year. The film is set in a quiet, fictional suburb called Maybrook, Pennsylvania, and it tells the story of what happens when 17 children from the same elementary school classroom all vanish in the middle of the same night at the exact same time. The story is told from multiple perspectives and jumps around in time, so it can feel a little confusing on first watch. But today we are going to tell you the whole thing from the very beginning in the right order, explaining every single thing that happens all the way to the very end. So let us get into it. The first thing you need to understand before anything else in this movie is a woman named Gladys. She is played by Amy Madigan, and she is the reason every single bad thing in this film happens. So, well, let us start right there with her. Gladys shows up one day at the home of a young boy named Alex Lilly. Alex is a quiet, shy kid, and he lives with both his parents in Maybrook. When Alex comes home from school one day, Gladys is sitting at the dinner table with his mom and dad. She greets him warmly and says she has not seen him since he was a baby. She introduces herself as his aunt. But something is immediately wrong. Alex's parents are not acting like themselves. They are sitting at the table with blank expressions on their faces, staring at nothing, moving slowly and mechanically. When they speak, they ask Alex how his school day was in a flat, robotic tone, like they are reading lines from a script rather than actually talking to their son. Alex is unsettled and keeps asking what is going on. Gladys sends him to his room without dinner. The next morning, Alex wakes up and comes downstairs to find his parents still sitting at the same table. Same blank faces, same hollow eyes. Gladys is there too, and this time she drops any pretense of being a warm, friendly aunt. She tells Alex the truth. She is a witch. His parents are under her control. They are, in her words, resting. Then she shows Alex exactly what she is capable of. She uses her witchcraft to force his parents to repeatedly stab themselves in the face with their dinner forks, over and over. Alex screams and begs her to stop. She does. But she makes it very clear that if Alex tells anyone, if he goes to school and says a single word, if he lets anyone know she is in this house or that something is wrong with his parents, she will do it again, and far worse. Alex has no choice. He goes to school and says nothing. Over the weeks that follow, Alex takes care of his parents by himself. Every day he feeds them chicken noodle soup. Every day they sit at the table in their trance and eat what he gives them like they are not even there. And Gladys stays in the spare room, barely moving, barely eating, barely saying anything. But then Alex notices something frightening. Gladys is getting weaker. She is old and frail, and whatever dark power she is using to sustain herself is starting to run out. One night, Alex finds her lying in her room in a seriously weakened state. She tells him that the life force she has been draining from his parents is not enough. They simply do not have enough energy to keep her going. She needs more. She tells Alex that she needs a personal item from each of his classmates at school, something that belongs to each of them. She promises him that if he does this, she will get better and she will go home. She will leave, everything will go back to normal. Alex is a child. He is scared and exhausted and desperate. He believes her. So the next day at school, he goes to the classroom and steals the name tag from each of his classmates' cubbies. Small personal items, one from each of his 17 classmates. He brings them all home and gives them to Gladys. And then, at exactly 2:17 in the morning, on that same night, all 17 children wake up in their beds across Maybrook. They all get up at the exact same moment. They all walk out their front doors. And they all start running through the dark streets straight toward the Lilly household. They run like they are being pulled by a string, fast and blank-faced and silent. When they arrive, Gladys pulls them into the basement and keeps them there under her spell, frozen and unresponsive, just like Alex's parents. All 17 children are now missing. The next morning, Maybrook wakes up to a nightmare. Parents go to check on their children and find empty beds. Word spreads fast, the police are called, and within hours the entire town is in a state of total panic. The investigation figures out fairly quickly that all 17 children left their homes at exactly 2:17 in the morning. Some of them set off home alarm systems as they left. Others were caught on security cameras, running through the streets, but where they went, nobody knows. They just disappeared. Because Alex is the only student from the classroom who is still around, and because his teacher is a young woman named Justine Gandy, played by Julia Garner, both of them come under immediate suspicion. Alex because he was the one left behind, and Justine because she was their teacher and it was all of her students who vanished. Gladys is clever about this. When the police come to the Lilly household to investigate, she tells them she is a caretaker for Alex's father, claiming he recently had a stroke. She temporarily moves the 17 children out of the basement during the visit. The house checks out. The police find nothing and leave. But Justine is not nearly so lucky. Justine is a young teacher who clearly cares deeply about her students. She is completely innocent of anything to do with the disappearance. But in a town full of desperate parents looking for someone to blame, innocence does not protect you much. A town hall meeting is held at the school. The atmosphere is ugly and accusatory. Parents are furious and heartbroken and they want answers. Justine stands up and swears that she wants to find the children just as much as everyone else does. She is telling the truth, but the crowd doesn't want to hear it. The principal of the school, a man named Marcus Miller, played by Benedict Wong, puts Justine on administrative leave and tells her to keep a low profile while the investigation continues. Justine is effectively driven out of her own community, even though she did absolutely nothing wrong. One of the most affected and volatile parents is a man named Archer Graff, played by Josh Brolin. His son Matthew is among the missing children. Archer is big and intense, and grief has turned him into something raw and dangerous. He is convinced that Justine knows something. He follows her home from the town hall meeting and in a moment of rage paints the word witch on the side of her car. He also carefully studies the security camera footage showing the children running away that night and maps out their direction, identifying a rough neighborhood radius where they seem to be heading. Now, let us talk about the other story happening at the same time, involving a local police officer named Paul Morgan, played by Alden Ehrenreich. Paul is not a good person. He has been having an on-again, off-again thing with Justine, his ex-girlfriend, even though he is married. When Justine comes to him after the town hall incident, the two of them end up sleeping together. Paul's wife Donna finds out and physically attacks Justine the very next day. Paul also gets pulled into a completely separate mess. He catches a young local drug addict named James, played by Austin Abrams, trying to break into a building to steal things he can sell for money. Paul searches him, accidentally pricks his finger on one of James's used syringes, and panics about possible infection. In his anger, he punches James unconscious. Then he realizes his police car's dashboard camera recorded the whole assault. He makes a deal with James. He will let him go completely free if James promises to never come back to this part of Maybrook. James agrees. Paul's police captain father-in-law agrees to make sure the footage gets erased within a month. Problem apparently solved, but James doesn't stay away. James is desperate for money and keeps stealing things to fund his addiction. At some point, he breaks into the Lilly household, and inside he finds something very different from what he expected. He sees Alex's parents sitting catatonic at the table, and when he goes down to the basement, he finds all 17 missing children standing completely still and glassy-eyed. In the dark, he gets out of there as fast as he can. Later, James sees a flyer at a pawn shop offering $50,000 for information on the missing children. He calls the tip line immediately. But when James arrives at the police station to report what he found, Paul is there and sees him. Paul knows that if James talks to anyone and it comes out that Paul let him go earlier, Paul is finished. So Paul chases James down, catches him in his tent in the woods, and James tells him where the children are. Paul puts James in his squad car and drives to the Lilly household to check it out himself. Paul goes inside. He is in there for hours. When he finally comes back out, his face is blank and his eyes are empty. He is under Gladys's spell. He reaches back into the car, drags the terrified James inside, and closes the door. James disappears into the house too. Meanwhile, Justine has been doing her own investigation because she genuinely needs to know what happened to these kids. She visits the Lilly household and sits outside watching for a long time. Through a small gap in the newspaper covering the windows, she can see Alex's parents sitting at the table in that frozen state. She knows something is very wrong in that house, but she does not yet know what. Gladys knows Justine is watching and decides to deal with her. She uses Alex's mind-controlled mother to sneak to Justine's car while she sleeps and snip off a lock of her hair. With that personal item, Gladys performs a mind control ritual on Principal Marcus. Marcus goes under. Gladys sends him after Justine. Justine and Archer end up crossing paths at a gas station, and before they can say much, Marcus arrives and attacks both of them in a sudden, violent frenzy. Justine flees in her car with Marcus chasing her. Archer pursues in his truck. Eventually, Marcus, still running with terrifying single-mindedness, is struck by a car and killed. In the aftermath of that chaos, Archer looks at Justine differently. He just watched a school principal completely lose his mind and attack two people with zero provocation. He knows now that whatever is happening in Maybrook is not something Justine caused. He pulls out his map, shows her the radius he traced, and Justine immediately identifies the Lilly household as the location. They go together. When Archer and Justine arrive at the Lilly house, Gladys already knows they are coming. She has laid down long lines of salt across the floors of the house, positioned at key thresholds and doorways. She has placed her mind-controlled people throughout the house like guards. Alex's parents, Paul and James, all standing still and waiting. Archer and Justine go inside. Everything is too quiet. Then Justine steps over one of the salt lines. The moment she crosses it, Paul and James come at them with sudden, explosive violence. In the chaos, Justine gets her hand on Paul's sidearm and shoots both of them. It is desperate and awful, but it is the only way she survives. Archer pushes forward and finds the stairs to the basement. He goes down, and he runs directly into Gladys. The old woman looks at him, and just like that, he is gone. Eyes flat, body rigid, Gladys has him. He turns around and comes back up the stairs as another puppet, now moving to attack Justine. Things look very bad. The man she came here with is now trying to kill her. She is trapped with no idea how to stop any of it. But while all of that is happening downstairs, something very different is happening upstairs. Alex is in his room. He has been living with this nightmare for weeks, feeding children soup in a basement, watching his parents become hollow shells, carrying a secret that is destroying everything, all because a witch threatened him when he was just a scared kid. When the chaos starts, Alex steps over the salt line in front of Gladys's room. That triggers his catatonic parents to come after him violently. He has to run. But in running, he gets into Gladys's room, and inside he finds her spell tools, her ritual materials, and a strand of her hair. Alex has been watching Gladys work this magic for weeks. He has seen how it goes. He has seen what a personal item and a strand of hair can do. So he does the only thing he can think of. He performs the ritual himself. He uses Gladys's own hair and her own tools against her. Down in the basement, all 17 children begin to stir. Not fully free, not fully themselves, but just enough to feel the pull of the spell Alex has cast. And the spell points every single one of them directly at Gladys. Gladys feels it the instant Alex finishes. For the first time in this entire story, the witch is afraid. She runs out of the house as fast as her frail body will carry her. The 17 children pour out of the basement. They break through windows, they crash through doorways, and they chase her through the streets of Maybrook. Gladys runs through backyards and neighborhood paths, crashing through fences, trying to outrun them, trying to find some way to break what Alex has done. She does not make it. The children catch her, and they tear her apart. The moment Gladys dies, the spell breaks. Archer, who was only under her control for a short time, comes back to himself immediately. He walks out into the street, disoriented but free. He finds the children standing over what is left of Gladys. He walks into the middle of them and finds his son, Matthew. He picks him up and carries him home. But the aftermath is not a clean, happy ending. Gladys is gone, but the damage she did is not simply undone. Alex's parents do not recover when the spell breaks. The weeks of having their life force slowly drained left them broken in a way that does not just snap back. They are sent to a mental hospital. Alex cannot go back to living in that house. He goes to live with his actual aunt, his real family this time. Most of the 17 children are not okay either. They were kept in a basement under a mind control spell for 2 months. Some of them begin to speak again eventually. Some of them slowly come back. But it is never made clear that all of them ever fully return to who they were before that night. The damage Gladys did to their minds may be something they carry forever. The movie ends with a quiet voiceover that tells us what became of the town. Maybrook looks the same from the outside. The houses are still standing. The streets are the same streets. But everything inside the community is broken. Parents are hollowed out, children are home but unreachable. Justine was cleared of all suspicion, but she is permanently marked by what happened. A police officer is dead, a school principal is dead. James, who just wanted a reward and tried to do the right thing, is dead too. The witch is gone, but the town is not healed. Now let us talk about what this movie is really saying underneath all the horror. The title Weapons does not just refer to Gladys's dark powers, it is much bigger than that. The real weapons in this story are the things people use against each other before Gladys ever arrives. Look at how the town responds to the crisis. They find the nearest person who looks like she can be blamed, which is Justine, and they destroy her life without a shred of actual evidence. Archer paints the word witch on her car. Donna physically attacks her. The principal fires her. The community points its rage at one innocent woman because it is easier to blame someone than to sit with the terrifying truth that nobody knows what happened. That is a weapon. Fear is a weapon. Grief is a weapon. Mob anger turned on the wrong person is a weapon. And Gladys only has power in Maybrook because Maybrook is already fractured. She did not break these people, she just used the cracks that were already there. Paul is a weapon aimed at James. He nearly destroys the entire investigation because he is more worried about covering up his own bad behavior than finding 17 missing children. James, the only person who actually discovered where the children were and tried to do the right thing, ends up dead because of Paul's selfishness. Gladys herself is just an extreme mirror of all of this. She isolates Alex, threatens him into silence, uses him to do her bidding, and keeps everyone around her completely helpless. This is not so different from what fear and abuse do to real children in the real world. The supernatural packaging is just the outer layer. The feeling underneath it, of a child trapped and powerless while the adults who are supposed to protect him are not themselves anymore, is something that feels painfully familiar. Alex is the heart of the whole film. He was put in an impossible situation by something he did not choose and could not have understood. He kept his secret not because he was weak, but because the alternative was worse. And when the moment came where he finally had the tools to fight back, he found the courage to use them even though he was terrified. He did not wait for a grown-up to save him. He saved himself. And he saved 17 other kids in the process. The director Zach Cregger has spoken openly about writing this film after the sudden death of his closest friend. He started writing it as pure emotional release, with no plan and no outline, just trying to get the pain out. He also drew on his own childhood experience of growing up in a home with an alcoholic parent, the feeling of someone you love becoming a different person, something foreign entering your home and changing the people in it in ways a child cannot understand or stop. All of that personal history is in this movie, even if you never see it directly. And because of that personal honesty, the ending feels true. Even when the monster is defeated, the people it touched are not the same. Some damage is just permanent. The movie does not pretend otherwise, and that is what makes it linger after you watch it. Weapons is a film that looks like a witch story, but is really about a community that weaponizes its fear and aims it at all the wrong people. It is about a child who carries an unbearable weight alone and eventually becomes the only one with the courage to end it. And it is about the fact that even when evil is destroyed, the people it touched will carry the marks of it for the rest of their lives. That is Weapons, one of the most unsettling and emotionally honest horror films in years. That is it for today's recap here on Cinemax. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss our next video. We will see you in the next one.